Hey, thanks for listening to Self-Publishing Podcast. Today we're going to talk about the power of deep thinking. And I'm going to stop right now and let Sean explain what that means before we go into the rest of what we're doing. Before
go into a deep slumber.
Yeah, well, I think it's really good to kind of understand that sometimes because we all want to rush, and we go fast, and especially when we're building our creative business, like it's really easy to just be doing and never stopping to think. And very recently, Johnny and I kind of redefined our roles in the company, and that's been a really great thing for both of us and for everyone who works with us and the company's trajectory.
And Amy, who is a big fan of it.
Amy, who's a big fan of it. Those new roles they've really been amazing. And it's meant that a lot of my job lately has been to think, just to deeply think and to articulate and to come up with plans and then explain them to the team and, get the team involved so that my big question marks that are usually in between idea and profit get
Yeah, Sean's got the underpants gnome management model. If you're mentioning that, it's step 1, big idea. Step 2, Step 3, profit.
Right. And money rains from the sky. So the company is just a lot better for all of the thinking time. And I feel that regardless of what you do, deep thinking is going to elevate it. Whether that's you write stories for a living, or whether you're a nonfiction teacher or a nonfiction author and you have something to teach, it's peeling it back so that, staying away from the chips. If you just listen to last
really show, like an orange,
it's staying away from the chips so that you can have the orange, because the orange is what you want in this context. So that's it.
So this is about creation of a story or running of your author business, or both?
Both, really. It's about anything. It's about problem solving by doing less, taking the time
taking the time to think rather than just doing what you've always done that has seemed to always work, but maybe isn't as much anymore.
Yeah, because we get in a point where it's like it's diminishing returns, right? And we're doing the same things, or we're feeling burned out, or we're feeling bored, or we're feeling overworked. But maybe we could actually be working more and feeling less worked, right? Because I work plenty, but I don't feel overworked. And I think it's because I have a nice balance of the things that I'm doing. And especially now where I am taking the time to think, I'm feeling behind on some other stuff, but I feel like the time that I've taken to think has really been a good thing for everyone, including me. So yeah, that's the topic.
All right. So does anyone have anything cool?
I do, but I just gave the preamble, so I'll defer.
So Dave, do you have anything cool, or do you want me to go?
You can go.
I can go, says Dave, who says it because he's not sure what his might be. Mine is that Amy made a post in the Smarter Artist Facebook group. It's a Veterans Day post. So the reason is because we are recording this on Veterans Day, November 11th. But if you get this, if you're listening to this on the feed and you want to hop in on this, then you would just need to look for the post on November 11th about Veterans Day. It's got a picture of a bunch of flags in a graveyard, but flags. And it says, actually, I think they're just flags. Anyway, so it says, it's Happy Veterans Day. I could probably just read it. It's just a way to honor veterans. So Amy says, Happy Veterans Day. Any veterans in this group, please, today is the day to let us support you. If I know you, you're probably not much for promoting yourself. Our Sterling and Stone editor-in-chief, Clark Chamberlain, volunteered to deploy to Iraq, but would never volunteer which book of his you should read. Any of them, they're all good. So today on Veterans Day, I'm calling on you to let us support you. If you're a veteran, please comment below with what books of yours you would recommend a new reader start with. Which of your books are you proudest of? Thanks for everything you do and you've done for us. Now tell us how to spend our $5 to do something for you. So if you are a veteran, comment on that post. It's okay, you can do it late. And if you are not a veteran and you want to support the veterans in our Smarter Artists Facebook group, go find that and buy a book. So there you go. So that's mine. I think that's pretty damn cool.
Yes.
Dave?
My something cool is and I can't even really talk about it yet because I haven't played it. This week, one of my favorite games a few years ago was Dishonored, made by Bethesda, who also makes Skyrim and all of those games I like, Fallout. And they just came out. Dishonored was one of those games that I loved, absolutely loved the world building. It's a beautiful thing. Very sort of steampunkish. Just an awesome game all around. I just love the world. And the second one just came out, and it I got it. I have yet to play it though. But I'm very much looking forward to it. And there's another game coming out next week that I want, Watch Dogs 2, which looks absolutely fucking awesome. And I'm very annoyed that two games that are both like sort of open world games where you can get lost in for many, many hours come out so close to one another. And I don't have time at the moment to play either of them. So, but yeah, cool thing.
Well, that I always wonder every time you mention games.
Yeah.
I never have time to play games, and so I think that they all sound kind of interesting, and I'm just trying to imagine. It's kind of like I used to golf, and I went to Top Golf recently with kids.
And it rained.
It actually did rain, and I was just like, man, I used to like golfing, but I just can't imagine a time when I would say, okay, this 5 hours is just me. And so I just can't do it anymore, and I don't know. I can't find time to.
Typically, I'll play a game like before I go to bed. I don't sit there all day playing games when I should be.
That doesn't jack you up before you go to sleep.
No, it relaxes me actually. It's unwinding. Particularly like some games will like if I play like Call of Duty or something, I might get worked up, especially if I'm getting like killed by the same 12-year-old over and over.
Do you get worked up when you're playing?
And they're taunting you and calling you.
Yeah. What'd you say, Sean?
I said, do you get worked up when you play Skyrim Job?
What an asshole.
So mature. Yeah. Okay. So my something cool is a battle. I've been playing a game with myself. It's like Spy versus Spy.
I bet you have.
But it's called Present Me versus Future Me, right? And Future Me is just like, yeah.
I remember hearing about this and I didn't understand it the first time, so I'm really excited to hear it again.
It's Sean versus Sean. So I just know that present me tends to make better decisions than future me. So, like for example,
future me makes great decisions. Present me makes horrible.
I'm the other way around. So yeah, it's
future me eats perfectly.
I want to make sure that future me is a rock star. Future me, like I need to do a better job. But
future me starting to not make sense to anyone else. Those words, blah blah blah. Say it a few more times.
Future me.
What does it mean?
So I have this game called 2042 that's on my phone. And it's so stupid. This is something cool because it goes with the power of thinking. And so for a long time, if I have a few idle minutes, I just start playing this game. But then once I start playing it, I can't really stop. like I'll
when
play.
I showed up for our meeting, I could not have been more than 2 minutes late, and Sean was playing 2048.
Yeah, and then I would have stopped then because I had to talk to Johnny. But if I'd been alone and I'm like, okay, I've got 2 minutes, I'm going to play this, I'll play that shit out. And like 20 minutes can just disappear and I'm still playing 2042. And like over the last year, I've lost several hours to this easily. And it's just dumb. And I know that...
You realize how that sounds? Over the past year, I've lost several hours.
Well, okay, more than that. Probably.
Those are hours you could have been working.
Right. Well, I could have been thinking. Like I could have been reading on the Kindle. I got a Kindle on my phone, same as I got 2042. And 2042 is kind of an acidic exercise. Like it doesn't do anything for. I'm not getting better at the game. Like it's Candy Crush. I'm not improving. I'm not like. It's just stupid. So, but I know that like I've just recognized my pattern. I've told myself like over and over and over, that's okay. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm just not going to play it anymore. But I know that future me is a weak man. And that as soon as he has a few minutes, he's just going to start playing 2042. So present me's job is to outsmart future me. And so present me is just doing things like yesterday, present me deleted 2042 off of my phone. So I can't even play it if I have the moments because I got outsmarted by yesterday, Sean.
What if future you goes back in time and gets it back on your phone?
Well,
or just downloads it anew.
he's kind of an asshole. Like they have this. They have
I'm downloading it right now. What is it?
The funny thing is that I do this too, so I'm with you.
I'm gonna play during the show. Is that all right?
Sure.
Somebody asked, Adam said, I used to play games till he took an arrow to the knee. No, that's a joke that some of you will get. A bad one. I used to play games. I feel guilty if I play more than 15 minutes these days because I'm still working on the first series and not bringing much income for the family yet. When I do play video games, it's after I'm done and I'm mentally unable to write anymore. And it also, I think, takes place of that time block that most people spend with other humans.
That's good.
I find that the more this is actually Sean's future versus present, the more so first of all, I've done the thing to outsmart myself too. That's what the Freedom app is.
Yeah, because future you is going to be all over Slack, right?
Right. But also, I've found, and this is a generalized thing, but I swear to God, I mean, the more time passes, the more I find this is true about me personally. Usually, within certain limits, obviously, because here comes Dave's joke. The more I discipline or restrict myself, usually the happier I am. Like it usually, for me, usually hedonism or like just going like, way, I'm going to do whatever I want, like usually is not a good idea. And usually putting myself inside of some sort of fences is almost always a good idea. You know, setting restrictive hours in which I work or I don't work. Having an app where I'm not allowed on the internet during certain times. I do this thing with my
fists.
With my fists. I don't eat until dinner. That's something I've been doing for like 5 years. But for me, that works because
you're a masochist.
And I kind of maybe, or at least I'm productive when I'm a masochist. And then I work very well. Like I'm always happier whenever I put restrictions on myself. So there you go. So I think that now that we've all done our something cools, it's time to go and write a poorly developed story outline. To just go ahead and just go willy-nilly into my story with a shitty, non-developmentally checked story outline. Do you think that's a good idea?
That is an awesome idea.
I think it sounds terrible.
Why do you think it sounds terrible, Sean? Future Sean should know better.
Well, present Sean thinks it's a great idea, but future Sean knows better.
What would future Sean do, huh?
Future Sean would seek somebody out who is going to find the holes in my story and the flaws in my plot and my care and help me craft an outline that will allow me to fluidly write a book fast and efficiently without any plot holes or rewriting.
Well, there's nowhere that can be done. There's nobody who will
in the whole world,
in the future or present,
in the present, future, past, alternate universes. There's nobody. Are there places that have zillions of developmental editors offering this service? No, just one editor through Sterling and Stone. Is that what I hear you saying?
Is this a service that I could have had before the election? Did that ruin it for me?
You can still have it now, and you can find it at sterlingandstone.net. Story Jacket is like a life jacket for your story. What if your story couldn't sync? How would a developmental
life jacket for this ad read?
This is better than the last few, which is insane.
We're improving actually.
We're improving slightly. So what does that mean? Like you normally get a developmental edit on a book and it's really like super stupid expensive. So what does it mean to have a developmental edit for your beats? Sean, I know that I normally don't want you in the ad read. Dave doesn't know. I'm weighing Dave's apathy / ignorance of the topic against your bad ad reads.
Okay, well that's fair. So a story jacket, you deliver your outline, and most people have problems with their outlines, and they don't even know what those problems are because they're either too close to it or
just stupid.
They're not an expert in storycraft. But Clark is, and he helps us with all of our outlines now that we've iterated to that point. When we finish Beats packages before they go to our authors, they go through Clark and they get a story jacket. And that is a service that we are opening up to everybody. But if you think you're going to need it in the next several months, it is a good idea to get on the calendar, because he can only do a limited number of them, and that calendar does fill up.
And this is something that we really love for internal stuff. The project that I'm working on now, I believe, are the first two. It's a book and a sequel that we've had these story jackets on. And it's the sort of thing where, like, even between Sean and I, like, we have our collaboration. We understand story, I think, very well. But we're trying to really level up, and we're trying to iterate and optimize our our story planning, our pre-production process. And so they've gone to Clark, and he'll make us a suggestion like, well, this character should be more mysterious. Why don't you make this guy more mysterious? Or there's a hole here where this logically doesn't make sense, and we didn't see it. And so the ability to adjust early and then be able to just whiz through the draft rather than have to be like, oh, well, shit, I didn't realize that, and now I'm screwed, is really awesome. So anyway, so Clark does 2 of those a week. So like Sean said, if you think you're going to want one, get them now.
He'll help future you write a better book.
He will help future you write a better book. And it's at Sterling
but
and
present you hasn't booked one yet. He's fucked.
sterlingandstone.net/storyjacket. So there you go. So let's move on to the power of deep thinking, which was not part of that ad read.
Yeah. So I think this is one of those things that we just want people to kind of understand the power here, because I really believe that it can dramatically transform your life. It is something that can, when you go deep with your thoughts and you understand how you feel about something, it can change the way you think. It can change the way you feel. It can change the way you behave. And
now, what's the difference between regular thinking and deep thinking? I mean, is it just like ayahuasca or what?
No, it's how deeply you get into your thought. So I think most of us think pretty shallowly, just because
I think all my thoughts are deep. Like, I think I'm incapable of thinking shallow thoughts.
Well, how much
I obsess about everything.
Well, then this may not be for you. Like, you may, or hopefully you have insight to share with our audience.
I don't know about that.
If you have, I think whether you want to understand something, I think writing by nature is deep thinking. If you're really putting yourself into I know that this is kind of interesting, these 2 shows back to back, because I feel like this would have been something interesting to explore last episode. I don't know how the real time is, but the last episode that we recorded was talking about literary versus genre. And I think that when you're writing literary, that's more of self-exploration by nature. The topics are bigger, the themes are richer, and you're exploring a little bit more about who you are, the way you think, what language means to you, where in a genre story, it's more about the plot and what happens next. And so that's just kind of interesting to think, well, how can I explore this on a different level? How can I problem solve? Like, so Dave, what is your approach if you have a problem that you haven't been able to figure out? Like, how do you get to the bottom of that problem?
I think it through. I mean, I don't know what there is to say about it. I think about it.
Do you have a conversation with anybody? Do you write anything down? Like, there are tools to thinking deeply too. And
give us an example of a problem that Dave may have needed to think out.
Okay, well, let's do story. Like, right? Story is probably the thing that you need to think out most.
Yes.
So, okay. All right. Here's a good example. So a few weeks.
Now we're getting somewhere. All right.
All right. So a few weeks ago, you sent me a.
So hold on. So where we're getting somewhere is you didn't understand the concept of thinking, but now if you're thinking about something, we're getting somewhere.
Very meta.
All right. So a few weeks ago, you sent me a character description, or like a background, like a character profile. And that was a result of you hitting a part in the story when you realized that you needed the background for this character. And so first of all, how did you realize that you needed that? And then B, how did you develop that? And where did you go? Like, I mean, you had to go inside yourself, right? Because I mean, and just so everybody knows, it was pretty dark, right? This was
shocking.
A dark character history for a guy who does really horrible things as an adult.
No.
Well, I realized that the character was Okay, he is a guy that basically kidnaps children, and he was
Also shocking.
yes, and he has killed the main character's kid before this story takes place, and now he's got somebody else, and he's going to kill them as well. And while I was writing it, I realized we had him like as this villain, but I didn't really give him the proper attention as I would every other character in the book. Like he was just this bad guy, and I had not analyzed, why he is the way he is, and I couldn't just uh come up with the stupid, reasons that like you might on first blush. Like I had to have some actual background that you could believe.
You mean shallow reasons? Shallow.
Yeah, well, stupid shallow.
Made him a pop-up boogeyman.
Yeah, so yeah, you don't have to care for him as a character, but you have to kind of understand him in order for him to be relevant, and also I think for him to be effectively scary. I like in our story 12, we had a pedophile character that could have easily been a one-note character, but I think because he wasn't and he was more layered, I think you were more scared of what he would do because he didn't even know what he would do in a given situation. And so that's kind of how I felt about this character, is a similar character, but I didn't want him to have the same sort of background, so I had to come up with something else. And so I was thinking like how would a person end up like this? I thought about the stories I've read and horrible people in general, and like how something can come to me, because I don't think anybody starts off horrible and things happen to them to make them that way. So, and I a lot of times for me, I have to write stuff out by hand when I'm figuring it out, particularly stories, but even like stuff in my own life. Like I like make lists and shit like that. So,
okay, so if you're thinking about that problem and you're trying to figure out how to how to give this guy a history, are you just closing your eyes and thinking? Are you looking at like are you surfing online to find stories about people with horrible backgrounds, or like what is your process like to
it's different. It's different. Sometimes, like if I'm completely lost, and I'll search online. I'll search. Like I'll look up research for how people, are the way they are. I don't want to take anybody's autobiography. Obviously, I don't want to base it on real people, but I want to get a general feel for it. In this particular case, I kind of just closed my eyes and thought about it for a while, and like events that would lead up to where they are in this story. And I think it was important because he'll play a pivotal role in the series overall. So he couldn't just have a general sort of basic standard pedophile murderer background. He had to have something a little extra, I felt.
At any point, did you just want to make him intense like Johnny?
He has great abs.
All right, so I think this is gonna be used for story stuff, for character stuff, for business stuff, for life stuff, right? But it's understanding why you're doing this, and then there's a how to it also, because it's not as easy. Like we're all overstimulated, so deep thinking is work, and it's harder work than I think most people realize. And I do think that Dave is onto something here. I think he is more naturally a deep thinker about this stuff. Like he can be really internal, and so this might not be a very foreign concept.
It's actually a problem when you deep think everything.
Yeah, well, right. What we need to work on with Dave is balance. But I bet you there's a lot of people
need to be more superficial.
I bet you there's a lot of people listening right now who it's been years since they turned off everything and just thought, and did it for a long time, and just to see where things are going. People are uncomfortable with those silences. They are uncomfortable with themselves. They have to do things like play 2042 when they have 5 seconds of free time.
I do find that like leaving my environment, like a lot of times, like when I'm really stuck in a story, like if I have the car, I'll go to a restaurant and I'll just sit there by myself, and being out of my environment actually helps me because I'm not surrounded by my usual stimuli.
Yeah, being at your environment really matters here.
Makes a difference.
Taking a walk also helps.
Basically, if you think that the world that we create, the way we see things, the way we assemble all of the moving parts of our universe, it's a process of our thinking. And the only way we're ever going to be able to change the way we do things or the way we craft our world is by taking the time to think differently and to move those pieces differently. And everything that we do, if you think about it on a chessboard, as a chessboard, I think the regular momentum of life, always having our phones on, always being, attached to email and just kind of being in the thick of it. And if we write all the time, then this is our world. If we are writing and juggling a full-time job, this is our world. If we are writing, juggling a full-time job and being a spouse and a parent, on and on and on, it gets much, much harder. It gets more difficult. And so you can only see one or two moves ahead. But if you really pull back and you take the time to think, just truly think without any other distractions or anything else, and just keep peeling back a problem, then you can see more of the chessboard. And I know this will sound a little bit weird, and I'm all ready for both of you guys to make fun of me, but I feel like deep thinking is like, it's like remembering to remember things that you never even thought about. Right? Because
I'm not going to make fun of you. I'm trying to understand it.
How much did you smoke today?
Nothing. But it's like, because when you arrive at those conclusions, if you take the time to really feel something and think about it and peel all those layers back, then oftentimes you'll run into these conclusions that just seem inevitable, right? Like they're almost elegantly obvious, but it took you a long time to get there. And
like when Johnny's father decided that I'm a handsome man.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly like that, because he probably deep thought that shit. Like he probably deep thought that shit.
He did. I followed up on it.
All right. So I think that what you're doing here is you're gradually increasing the quality of your thoughts, right? So if there's a problem that you want to solve, and right now, I'll personally, the experience that I'm using here is I'm preparing. We're having a company meeting and kind of talking about our goals for next year. And so there's been a lot of just deep thinking, and not only about what we want to accomplish, but about how everything threads together. And that's what I mean about seeing the chessboard. You have to be far enough apart where you see how movement affects movement with other stuff. And so you have to keep, I know, but it's why. Keep on asking yourself why, until you're replacing inferior, shallow surface level thoughts with layered stuff that can act as scaffolding to your better ideas. So like when Dave is doing this character profile, I mean, this is working for, all of our 2017 company goals, but it also works for Dave putting a character description. He's asking, why is this guy like this? Why did he do that? Okay, he did this. What caused that? And if you keep asking yourself stuff, you're just peeling them back. And so it's not about replacing thoughts. It's about inviting a higher caliber of thinking into your mind, because I don't know, if you do that, then you're exploring the paths that can kind of pave a better ambition for you, I suppose. But it's not easy. And that's the thing. I think that we think thinking is really easy. How many people have written all day, and, a lot of people who are, carpenters or, a million other jobs out there think that writing is really easy, but how many people have written for several hours and then just been exhausted, just like thoroughly spent?
Yeah.
I am.
Right? And it's because
you burned more calories.
Yeah, that would be really awesome. It's a way to really deliver your intention and your thinking. And that is hard work. Like, I'm exhausted right now because and you know what I've been doing most of? I've been doing, thinking. I showed Johnny yesterday. I don't know how much this will show up, but
I'll bet you went to Orange Theory.
can you see my wrist? I have a rash on my wrist right now, and I usually only get that when I travel. I get it pretty regularly when I travel, but I have it right now, and I haven't actually been working very hard, but I've been thinking a lot, and it does take something out of me. And I think this is why a lot of people don't do it, because it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to keep thinking how much harder can I push this thought. And I think that deep thinking is kind of actually endangered, because attention spans are shorter. I mean, clearly Dave can do this, but anyone listening right now, try and stick with a single thought for half an hour to see where it goes. It's way harder than you think it is. Your brain keeps wanting to go in different
Yeah,
places.
it really is. And actually, similarly, if anybody's ever tried to meditate, like, I mean, the simplest version is just focusing on your breath. That's it. Just focus on your breath, clear your head. Don't do anything else. And you'd be shocked if you've never tried this before with how hard it is. You'll notice all of a sudden you're thinking about the grocery list or something like, motherfucker. And so you bring it back and then you're off again. Like, it's the same thing. Like, our minds want to wander.
Yeah. And so really just sticking with a thought, forcing yourself to stick with a thought. And
It's
that's
like
the
going
hard.
on YouTube and trying to watch one cat video.
It's
impossible.
pretty much exactly like that. You should just take over the rest of this conversation.
Deep thoughts with Dave Wright.
Yeah. So I think that there's just tremendous value there, but I do feel like a lot of people they're not, it's almost like accidentally lazy. They don't know they're being lazy, but when their brain wants to flit over to somewhere else, it's just so easy to go there. And then you never really peel it back. And it's that intention that I'm going to stay with this thought and see where it goes. You know, it takes a lot of work.
Amy asked, how has this changed for you in the last few months, Sean? What changes did you make?
Well, there's been a few.
And was it the thing that we clarified that was a catalyst?
That was the catalyst, absolutely. And then having Clark come on, because a lot of the stuff that he's helping with is stuff that I would be directly involved with. So that was really, really helpful. That definitely freed up some time. Also, just being kind of okay with it and knowing that I'm gonna get to everything eventually, but it's worth taking a few weeks to just really process. I did that right before Montreal. I did it right after I came back from Montreal. I did it right before and right after the Stone Table, and I'm doing it for our goals. So it's just a bunch of things that hit right in a row where it's like, it's time to process all of this. But I think that what's really changed is just that we're maturing as a company. And I think that for a long time, I'm actually glad Amy asked this question, because I don't think I realized it until just this moment. But I think for a long time, I felt really guilty taking time to think. Like, there's so much that has to be done. And if I'm just thinking, I'm being lazy, I'm letting everybody down. And that gets to me. Like, I want to be producing. I want to be producing not just for me, but for the people around me, the people who depend on me, the people who are, looking at me for this stuff. And when Johnny and I kind of came to that conclusion that, oh, well, I'm operations and your vision, that's Johnny talking, obviously. Look at my abs. Then that
I do say that a lot.
constantly.
Behold, I think he says behold.
He does say behold.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing that, it was almost like permission. And then, like, it's my job. If vision is my job, as airy-fairy as that sounds, it kind of is part of my job. So I need to do it well. And that meant thinking more and taking time. And that is, it's worth it. But I did have to get over my shit. I did have to realize that I was bringing value to the company, even if all I did for a 6-hour stretch was think. And I do love that. Do you guys want to talk about kind of some of the ways to get in the right mindset to do this?
Well, I mean, the first thing that strikes me is, and I realize I'm not actually answering your question, but it sort of am, is you do need to give yourself permission. And this is something you really alluded to, is it's hard to do that because it doesn't feel like you're working. And if you have a lot going on, then it's like, well, I can't stop to think. I need to, and actually this actually came up on one of the apprentice calls the other day, where it was about specifically story research during the draft, which we were like, well, sometimes it seems good and sometimes it's not a great idea. But like, I won't look things up or figure things out because I just have to get the damn words done. And I think that that's kind of a metaphor for what a lot of this is, well, I just have to get the tasks done. I just have to get through them. And so you don't stop and think. And sometimes that's Sean's metaphor of sweeping the floor. So I would say,
I was just going to say it's sweeping the floor.
Yeah. Permission is something sometimes you need to give yourself. Like, for instance, if you're If you're a planner, we use Asana. So if I just have way too much shit in Asana and it's just like, oh, I got to get this done, and I'm just banging things out, every once in a while I have to say, you know what, it's worth taking a half an hour to organize it and figure out what things I should be doing and when I should be doing them and all that.
Yeah, and normally, like, this is something that I wait for the very end of the year. Like, it's not that I'm a stranger to this. I've been doing it for a long time, but I usually do it at the end of the year. It's a December thing. I get very reflective. I start making lists. I start really organizing.
Twice.
I read getting things done like every year or two, right? And I just like take time to think and organize and plan.
I have had that book for like 5 years and I've yet to finish it.
Maybe you should read the book. You should read the prequel, How to Get This Book Read.
So, it's always been an end of the year thing. And this is the first time where I thought, okay, well, it was circumstance. It was a lot of interesting things that we can talk about a little bit later, as far as, this coming up event that we're doing and why, why the goals were needing to be done early. But just, it was a confluence of a lot of things. It was Johnny and I defining our roles. It was things that we're planning for next year. It was an event that we're going to have. It was just a lot of little masterminds that I traveled to, and then the one that we held ourselves. And it just required a lot of thinking. And I also, like, I'm definitely not a slave to, but I very much like positive reinforcement and praise. And I got a lot of that from Johnny and Amy and Christine, especially.
None from Dave.
None from Dave. No.
Guard that shit like a selfish mind.
But like, I knew that because there's a lot of guilt there. Like, am I letting people down? And not only was I not letting people down, but they were actively telling me that I was making their lives and the company better. And so that was very encouraging to me. And so I've just kind of doubled down. And I know that some of my work is backing up a little bit, but I feel like when I'm back in that space, I'm going to be able to just clear it through because my mind is so clear. It's mind like water. Like, I'm just ready to go. Logan asks, do you think in silence or do you have background noise music going on while doing so? Both can be fine. I can even do this like on the couch, like as part of the family. I just make sure that my phone is not there and I'm like thinking. And like my son likes to do his homework out in the little sunroom that we have, and I'll sit there on the couch with him and he'll be doing his homework and I'll be right there. Maybe the TV's on in the background, but I can zone for sure. I don't need distractions like that. I just need to make sure that I've outsmarted future Sean for sure. No 2042, because that's the point. Like, it's just as easy to sit on the couch and play 2042 while Ethan's doing his homework, and that's bullshit. Yeah, that's another good point too, Christy. Knowing how many different projects you have going on at once, I can't imagine the chaos in your brain. Right, it is a little crowded in there, and getting stuff out of my brain and into categories and things like that, which is one of the reasons I like reading Getting Things Done, is there's nothing new in there. Like, I'm not surprised by anything ever because I've read it several times, but I know that every time I read it, it's a reminder. And when I hit my organizing, I just do it really fluidly. Logan, I've been playing 2042 this whole episode. It's awesome.
Do you write down, like, you have these epiphanies while you're thinking? Do you write them down? I mean, how do you keep track of these? A lot of times I'll think of stuff and I won't write it down, and then I'll just forget it, and it was wasted thinking.
Yeah, normally I don't. Normally it's just like, because I'm working on things and I just come closer to conclusions, and I know that next time I'm in planning mode, they're going to be right there on the surface. But something that's a great question, Dave. I've actually done this. So this is a setup that I have in 5 spots around the house. Okay, so there's this little notebook with a pen attached to it.
What kind of notebook is that?
It's a Moleskine. Yeah. So
Field Notes also has some good little notebooks.
So I have one of these with a pen, because the problem with capturing stuff in this kind of thing, like, I don't want to always have my phone with me. So I don't want to use that to capture. Like, yeah, Evernote's on my phone, but But that means I have to have my phone on me, and it makes me a slave to it. And I really don't like that. But I also don't like having just one notebook that I have to carry around with me everywhere, because I'm just not that guy. Like, I don't carry my notebooks everywhere. And so last week I just took a few of them and put them around the house, each one with a pen clip to it, in all the spots that I spend time. And so once a week on Sunday, when I do my planning, I can just go gather all the books and then,
I see many comic misadventures occurring where I know I left a note somewhere. Where the hell is it?
I do the same thing, and I have several notebooks going at once.
But do you have a time where you schedule, like, I'm going to move it from A to B?
No, and then I'm like looking for, okay, what notebook? Okay, I had this great story idea. I know I wrote it in a notebook. Where the hell is it? Or I got a phone number from somebody. Where is it? Like, yeah. So I don't do the
system only works. See, this kind of system that I'm talking about only works if you regularly are putting your capture in one place.
Well, see, that's the problem. I only read part of Getting Things Done.
You got to read the second half. You got to the wedding scene?
Yes, it's a great wedding scene.
Yeah, so I think in the time we have left, we could just talk a little bit about like how to prepare yourself for this. I think that little notebooks is a good hack. I like that. I was actually going to use that as something cool a couple weeks ago, because it has been working really well for me. You have to eliminate distractions completely. That doesn't mean you have to have music on, or like the TV can't be on in the background, but you can't be in a situation where someone's going to ask you a question every 5 minutes.
Yeah, you got to duct tape your kid's mouth shut,
or put them straight in the basement. Like, that works too. But you do need to you need to be able to focus on what you're focusing on, because if the whole point is to strip it down and ask layers of good questions, then you can't. You have to be able to dive deep, and that means sticking there. I also think that general health. Sorry, Dave, you might want to plug your ears for this part. But general health is important. I think that it's energy levels are important. I think I mean, I noticed this about myself for sure. I've been back to exercising in the last 2 weeks, and it helps. Like, it certainly helps. I get clarity faster.
Oh, look at me. I think and I exercise.
Asshole.
Sometimes Dave thinks about the theory behind Orange Theory.
I think being in control of future you is good. Being aware of your energy levels. So, think when you are inclined to be a good thinker. There are times when, like, for example, when Dave's done and tired and just wants to play video games, probably not a good time to, like, really sit there and think. Like, he could try, but his mind's going to be really tired, and it's not going to give him
no, I just want to passively enjoy things that other people made during that time.
Yes, yeah, and I know. I think learning to be indifferent sounds cold, but I think that's a good time.
Oh,
a good thing to do. Yeah, I know you're fine with this, but like, if you're
where I reference our call where you sat back and ate popcorn.
I think that. I think that. Damn it! I lost it. Indifference. It's if you are able to just kind of not truly be indifferent, but to tune out the world around you enough to think that, look, I don't need to care about anything right now. I need to be tuned into myself. Be a little selfish, I guess, for a half hour at a time, and get to your problem. And I think that knowing what you're trying to accomplish is good too. So it's not just about, I don't think solutions are just there waiting to be unearthed so much as you're looking for intersections. So another way of deep thinking is just to kind of prompt yourself. So you can do that by thinking and letting other stuff be the impetus. So if you're watching biographies or movies or documentaries or something different from your norm will help to elevate or shift your thinking. So you want to get out of your normal patterns. If you're looking for a solution and you're in the same spot and you're thinking the same things and you're just having the same conversations with yourself, you're not opening new boxes or doors. And if you look at new stimuli in a new environment, it's going to help you when you.
I'd like to add to that. I think conversations with other people are very useful. Like a lot of times when I'm trying to think up something, I'll just bother Sean. We'll talk something out, and having somebody else to talk to is very helpful, especially if they can see something from a different perspective, which often is the case. For stories and stuff, though, like I'll talk to people. Like sometimes, like I'll talk to my brother-in-law because I have questions about something, and like we'll get to talking about different stuff after I've already talked about that, and that gets my mind thinking about other story ideas or how I could even change the one I'm currently working on, because uh, like I'll listen to his experience and it trumps anything that I thought up in my head, because you know he's done a lot of the things I'm writing about. He's a murderer, yes, he's a no, detective though, and like just having that outside perspective really is helpful, especially like brainstorming stuff, because you have an ingredient that you somebody else's life experience which you cannot possibly imagine or emulate, and it helps everything immensely.
Okay, I love that, and I'm going to take what you just said and what Danielle is saying in chat and make it into a new thought, because they're both really, really exceptional. So I know Danielle was actually kidding, and she said thought jackets, but there's actually a tremendous value in that joke. I think that for a lot of people who maybe can see the value of this kind of thought, they don't really know how to get there themselves. They're not used to finding those intersections. They're not comfortable with, peace and quiet with themselves and asking themselves these questions and sticking with an idea for half an hour, which again, way harder than it sounds. Find somebody that you can bounce ideas off. Find somebody who is a deep thinker, who can help you find these solutions, who get joy in problem solving, because those outside perspectives are immeasurably valuable, and they help you clarify your own thought, because sometimes the same thing you can do with deep thinking, which is just being alone with the problem, can be shortcutted if you're able to talk to somebody who is bringing those questions out of you. It is the same pattern. It's not alone. But if you find, like, that's the value of having like a coach or somebody who is just, they understand you, they understand your goals, they understand kind of what you're trying to accomplish and the ways that you're trying to do it, but they can drag those questions out of you. They can pull the best stuff from you. That's very, very powerful. So if you don't know how to think your way to these, kind of like, you can, this is the best way to get an epiphany, and having the skill to be able to quiet yourself and find these truths is awesome. But if you can't, then finding somebody who can, help you learn to do that is great. And I know this sounds like I'm kidding, and I really kind of wonder if I should say it at all, but whatever. If you live in California or Colorado or Washington, I'm not even kidding. Like, there is.
Here it comes. I know what he's going to say.
Yeah, there is value in. Like, look, California just voted to make it recreational, so you're not even in trouble. But I think that
poor Dr. 420 is going to go out of business.
Yeah, there's nothing of value there anymore. But I do think that, like, allegedly there have been times in my life where that has helped me with deep thinking. So
in California
or
Colorado, actually, before today.
Right. Well, yeah, because
it's where it's illegal.
It was right. I've only allegedly done things like that in states where it's legal.
Yeah, actually, I find my process differs quite a bit from problem, and it's almost like I feel like I can once I'm going, then I can silently work through something and I'll think of connections, but I need to get up to speed first. And so there are two, so what Dave said about talking to other people, like there's many times when I'll be trying to figure something out, and it's usually company stuff. And so I'll just table it and, hey, Sean, can we talk about this on Tuesday or whatever it is, rather than just trying to figure it out unless it's something really urgent, because it's just things happen faster that way for me. I'll often talk to my wife or, anybody else about those things to kind of get the things going. But also, like listening to something, then this actually came up earlier too, is will help. So anything that's, did you say, when you said you were listening to like or you were reading books and stuff, like getting things done. Was that in terms of helping to lubricate this process, or just in general?
Well, both actually. So I've read that book a bunch, and in fact, I got this at the Texas Book Festival last week. I was already listening to it on audio, and I saw it for $5, so I picked it up. But yeah, I think that I read it regularly because I'm always doing a lot of stuff. So I really do need to stay organized. Otherwise, everything would collapse around me. But this particular year, it's been a little bit different. It's been more to lubricate the process.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say is I could read a book like that, or ideally listen to. That seems to be my preferred mode. And it doesn't matter what the topic is. Like, as long as it's a certain type of material, I'm not going to listen to getting things done. And I mean, yes, of course I'll get ideas on getting things done, but that's not what's going through my head. Like, mostly my mind wanders off into other things, and then I start coming up with, oh, I gotta do that, or like this is a problem that's been bothering me, and now I have some ideas. I don't know what that is. It's like a kickstart. Dave looks like kind of squinty, like a pirate, like he didn't quite believe me. Do you notice that?
I'm not sure what that's about.
Really skeptical about what I'm saying.
No,
but I think
that messed up. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. But that's something for me. For some reason, it's just like that auditory stimulation gets things working for me. So I find that if I just sit down in silence at the start of a problem, it's like there's too much inertia there.
So and Dave, do you because I know that in the past, yeah, you've reached out a bunch of times too, but there's also been times where you haven't at all, and you've just stayed real internal. So do you feel like that's been helpful, or like does it help you solve the problems, but it keeps you kind of isolated, or like what's the check and balance there?
I don't like to impose on other people. So generally I try to keep my problems to myself. But if I know that we're going to talk or something, and there's something that I think you can help me with, then yes, I will talk to you then. A lot of times I just try to get stuff done myself, because it's a time thing. Am I going to sit here and wait 5 days to talk to you or somebody else about something, or am I just going to try to figure a way to get it done myself?
Well, so let's talk about, because I know we got to wrap up, but like let's talk about how people can start, because if you like the idea of spending time alone with yourself and kind of thinking harder about things than you're used to, I would suggest starting small, just like anything. If you want to lose 20 pounds, you don't say I'm going to go to the gym 7 days a week and like not eat anymore, because that's a recipe for burnout. But if you say, okay, I'm going to take these really small ideas,
I'm going to think for 5 minutes today, and then the rest of the day I'm just going to be brain dead.
15 minutes, like it's a muscle, stretch it, like think about that one thing and see how far you can push the thought. And you'll be surprised too. Like if you actually look at a timer and you look every time your mind wanders somewhere else, like Johnny said, it's just like meditation. Like, sticking with that. Like I've tried to meditate many, many times. I have a very difficult time with it. I can't really shut my mind down. I don't want to say I can't. I think I can learn to do it, but I have had difficulty with it. But this is the way that it works for me, where instead of just trying to clear my mind of nothing, I clear my mind of everything except for this one specific thing that I'm really trying to dig into. And I like that a lot. Christine said, I think Sean just gave us permission to get stoned at work. That happened, right? Yeah, but you might have to move. I'm not sure it's okay where you are. I'm not giving anyone permission to do anything illegal. I specifically said California, Colorado, and Washington. So, yeah.
All right. So that I guess will be the closing bell on this episode of Self-Publishing Podcast. So think deeper, right? Like give yourself permission, and I guess that's it. So I guess we'll see you next week. I will remind you about our horrible ad read, which was for the story jackets. That is a seriously very, very helpful tool. And despite the shitty job we did communicating it through the ad read, developmental edits for an outline, it basically helps you get your story in line before you fuck it up. Help you think it through. Right, there you go. It's very appropriate. So again, if you think you're going to need one in the next few months, grab it now because he's booking in advance. And so that's sterlingandstone.net/story jacket. All right. So I guess that's it. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.